Orsoni. I have been a biohacker since 1998 and I have reversed the irreversible. And I am super happy to be here at the Biohackers World Conference in Los Angeles.
I'm Zane Griggs. I've been a fitness and health coach also since 1998.
Yay.
It's a long time.
We're both 25.
Yeah. We started when we were 12. But we're happy to be at Biohackers World in Los Angeles, enjoying the sunny California weather.
So I wanted to talk today about sarcopenia.
Okay.
It's a word few people know outside of the biohackers world. So maybe define it like quickly with simple words. I know you can use crazy words, but like simple words for everyone to understand.
Sarcopenia is pretty easy. It's considered part of the aging process, usually accelerated right around 60 years old, but we really need to start.
Thank God we're not there yet.
We're not there yet, but we're coming up on it, aren't we?
In 50 years.
And we need to start addressing it early. I usually tell people start thinking about it when you're 40.
But what does it mean?
So I'll get there. So it is essentially the breakdown of lean mass or muscle tissue, and you could also say it's the difficulty or inability to grow new muscle as well. So it's a reduction of lean mass.
So first we lose it, and it's hard to make it back.
It's hard to bring it back. So whereas when you're younger, if you lay off lifting and your nutrition a little bit, when you're in your 20s and 30s, sometimes it's much easier to bring it back. At 40, it gets more difficult. By 60, it's very difficult. So you really want to think about building as much muscle as possible before you're 60, because at 60 you're playing defense.
Okay.
Because of the sarcopenia.
I love this word. I'm into basketball.
Okay, yeah.
Defense.
So you're playing defense. You're basically saying you're probably not going to have a whole lot of unfortunately, the same level of success building it after 60, and the sarcopenia really kicks in, but you can hold on to it. And so the sarcopenia basically is a natural decline of muscle mass as we age.
So it's terrible in a way, because you age, you lose muscle mass, and it's super hard to build it again. But it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but it's just we have our neurohormonal environment begins to really decrease.
That's why I'm a big proponent of bioidentical hormones.
Me
for
too.
Women, and for men as well, obviously, I have seen amazing results as far as muscle mass is concerned. Do you confirm it from a guy's
absolutely,
perspective?
like probably above. So my foundations are nutrition, movement, recovery. That's the foundation. And on top of that, the next most powerful integrative strategy we can use, in my opinion, is bioidentical hormones. Okay. And most of my clients are on some form of bioidentical hormones. My client
men
base,
and women.
Men and my client base is 40 to 60. Most of the men and women are on testosterone. And then as women get towards menopause, it's obviously like adjusted progesterone, estrogen. But it's funny that a lot of women, their testosterone starts to drop long before menopause, like late 30s, early 40s sometimes. And so a lot of the ladies I work with, when I hear them say, "Oh my gosh," when they get on testosterone, they've got their life back. They feel like their youth back, their energy, their libido, and they're chasing their husbands around saying like you need to get your T checked so you can keep up with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very interesting, because as long as I can remember, I always had a 0 on the line of testosterone, even when I was 20, 25.
Really?
And at the time, doctors wanted to supplement me in testosterone. And I was like, hold on a minute. I have none of the side effects you tell me that should occur with 0 testosterone. And I'm like, my body might be able to just handle life like this. But then, 2 months ago, I did a test, and my testosterone is not through the roof, but it's pretty high. And the only explanation I can give is that I have really amped up my fitness training, my weightlifting. That's the only thing I can explain, because otherwise I'm not taking it as a supplement.
You're not supplementing?
No, at all. No, because now I'm pretty high, and my doctor was like, whoa, this is impressive. And I have not taken anything.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you were so low when you were younger.
I was like almost at 0, and sometimes even 0 on the line, which apparently is completely, not almost impossible, but super rare.
It sounds pretty impossible, because women actually have more testosterone in their bodies than they do estrogen or progesterone.
I know.
It's just not as much as men, obviously about 1/10 as much as men, or 20th, but it's not, but still more than estrogen. It's the dominant hormone.
Yeah. And that's something that no one really knows. I mean, a lot of women think that testosterone is a male hormone.
It's just for men,
And then if they take a little bit, it's okay, but they shouldn't take too much, which is true, because otherwise they become...
It needs to be dosed appropriately, managed appropriately, but it's a life changer.
Yeah. It is a life changer. For me, bioidentical hormones, if I had known, I would have started when I was 35 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the time when it starts really to shift a bit. Not perimenopause, just like, 35.
No.
And I'm so happy. There is also a misconception that bioidentical hormones or regular hormones create cancer. And we know it's not true.
No. All the well-performed or well-established studies show a great benefit, very little risk. I think, the Women's Health Initiative, that study came out in the 90s. First study, which is crazy, first study on women who weren't pregnant. Before that was the only time we had a study on women who was pregnant. So we wait till the 90s to do a study on women health, and it's so flawed.
It's flawed. Everything is flawed.
It's set back women's health decades.
Because they scared women out of hormonal treatments by telling them it's going to give you cancer. The only truth is, if you have a dormant or beginning cancer, something that's starting to act up,
right,
and you are getting a wrongly dosed hormone treatment, of course. But you know what? It's pretty much true for anything else.
Well, it's that synthetic progesterone that was so horrible. Exactly. And if you're getting a bioidentical and it's properly managed and paired with estrogen, then it's a very different, it's a different chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're talking to someone right now who is 40 to 60, 40 to 50 right now, very active already, what more could this woman or man do to prevent sarcopenia? Well, if he or she is already active, because my next question is going to be, if someone is absolutely not active, pretty much sedentary, can we save it?
Okay, so there's different levels of active, but I think, first of all, if you're 40, get eyes on your blood work. Like, start looking at your labs, look at your hormone profile, your fasting insulin, things like thyroid. These are all important in how your body's handling energy and how your body's going to recover. So you want to know if there's a problem there, because if you're trying to change your lifestyle, but you have some sort of hormonal impediment or obstacle, then you're going to be fighting like you're going, and it's going to be very frustrating. So if you have, rule it out. See, hopefully there's nothing. But if there is, address it so that your efforts are productive.
Otherwise you waste your time.
It's like trying to walk up the down escalator.
And I was going to say, it's like to walk in the storm face, the wind in your face.
And you're walking into a headwind. So, and then for sarcopenia, the first thing, start with strength training.
How often a week?
I think my opinion is 3 times a week. I don't like the bodybuilder style workouts where people are doing like 1 or 2 muscles 5 or 6 times a week.
Go to failure.
Yeah, well, going to failure is one thing, but they're splitting up every muscle group across 5 or 6 days a week, and you're doing everything once a week. That was created during the 50s bodybuilders, when steroids came in. And so unless you're on steroids, that's not going to work too well, because our bodies start to
target the entire body.
I like full body workouts, or at the most upper body, lower body, half. At the most half, split your body parts in half one day and the next day. But working each muscle 2 or 3 times a week, there's actually plenty of studies showing that's much more beneficial than just pounding them once a week.
And to that point, I have created hundreds of fitness programs. One of them, very famous in France, is called Flat Tummy in 5 minutes a day. And I remember one day I was at a big expo, like fitness expo with bodybuilders, and I go on stage. When I say 5 minutes, they make fun of me, like, come on. I brought them on stage. If you do the very hard ones for 5 minutes, it burns. And I was telling my community, of course, I'd rather you do a little bit more. But 5 minutes, you'll find it. At the end of the week, it's 35 minutes. And if you always practice, I'm sucking in my tummy all day long, hypopressive,
engaging,
you will have a flat abdomen in no time. The thing is, people are scared sometimes because they're like, I don't have an hour to go to the gym or at home. And going to the gym might not be the solution, because if you have to drive to go there,
and check in,
it takes 2 hours sometimes just to go and come back. And I'm like, 2 hours, that's a lot of time wasted. So maybe your room, your bedroom, or whatever, something could be, arranged
I
at
highly
home.
recommend a home gym. That's what I do.
It has to be small if you don't have the space, but a few things, like a hang bar and like a few dumbbells.
Some bands. You can do a lot with the long loop bands.
That you can double.
Yeah, I take those with me. With every client I would see in their home, I would bring a bag of those with me to give me more options.
That's funny. Yesterday with Zane, we went to the gym, and the first thing he was looking for was, where are the bands? Where are the bands? And there were no bands. Oh, we found a solution.
Because if there's no machines, there's no cables, the bands are a great substitute, and they're fantastic. You get anchors, you can attach them high, low, wherever you need them, and recreate the effect of gravity in multiple directions for different body parts.
So you would say it's possible to fight sarcopenia just with bands if you do the right moves. You don't need necessarily heavy weights.
Absolutely.
That's very important because people start having joint issues when they enter their 50s. Not all of them, some of them. So sometimes weights could be a problem. But here we can...
Well, the bands are more, I mean, they aren't the same kind of weight, but you can certainly create enough resistance to stimulate muscle growth, and that has more to do with the level of resistance that you're creating and how much you push yourself. But there's plenty of ways to use bands to
hurt,
to hang on to stimulate growth and to maintain muscle mass.
Muscle mass, okay.
Yeah, and that's the real point. And I think you can do it in a minimal amount of time. I think you do it in 20 or 30 minutes, in my opinion.
Without being always on your phone, because otherwise you're not focused on your moves.
No, but in 20, 30 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week, you could be ahead of 90% of the people out there as far as hanging on to muscle and growing muscle, getting stronger.
Yeah.
With, like you said, you step into that room, you're in 20, most people can invest 30 minutes 3 times a week.
Come on. They have time to watch the latest series on Netflix. That's what I tell people.
Put on a podcast.
Yeah,
put on anything.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to something. But passive. Not texting, but passive. You know. And you can just stay focused. In 20 or 30 minutes, you can make such a difference in your body and save a lot. It's very efficient.
You know, it's funny because a lot of people will say, oh, I have a busy professional life and I don't have time. And I like to tell them that they are sacrificing their health for their wealth. And then one day down the road, they will spend all their wealth to maybe try to save their health that has been sacrificed like this. And this is super important that they understand 30 minutes a day is easy. I don't buy that bullshit, sorry for the word, but it's a priority. The last question is protein. Men tend to have enough protein in their diet. Women, not so much.
Right.
A study showed that about 70% of women don't even get 60 grams a day. And I mean, that's like, even my mom, I studied her for 10 days in a row, she was getting less than 40 grams a day, and she's like 75 years old. Mom, no. And so how do you tell women mainly to get enough protein? We usually say 2 grams per kilo, you know, kind of thing. So
right.
120
I'd say that's
grams
pretty
a day.
close, yeah.
And so for me, I go a bit higher because I do mountaineering training, like 140 a day. And some people say it's too much, I can't do it. So what's your go-to protein?
That is, that's a great question. It's a great problem. A lot of women have trouble digesting, and I think they could adjust. I know women adjust with just a little bit of an increase each week if they're thoughtful about it and checking it. They can start.
You have to think about it.
Start with getting 25 or 30 grams of protein, so maybe like 4 or 5 ounces of animal protein. 3 meals. That's usually achievable for most women. If you need more because you know, then you can add a little bit. I think dairy, if you can digest it, like things like cottage cheese or some sort of kefir, which is a fermented dairy, there's some protein in that is very much easier to digest.
It's bioavailable.
It's bioavailable for women, and they don't feel like they have this heavy piece of meat in their stomach. Whereas men are like, we kind of almost like that feeling.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But
I'm so against dairy anyway for a protein source, but you're right on that.
Well, I mean, if you look at Maasai warriors, the Maasai in Africa, the men drink 6 liters of raw milk a day. The women drink 4.
I know.
and they hardly eat meat except for very rare.
They drink the blood actually. Yeah.
They put a little in there,
the milk.
but there's not a lot of meat in their diet. It's dairy, and so it does depend on the person and where
the microbiome also,
and where you're sourcing it.
Yeah,
for sure.
If it's raw.
But as far as alternatives to meat, that's probably your next best thing. And eggs are like maybe 6 grams.
6 grams an egg. You need a lot of eggs.
you need a lot of eggs.
20 eggs a day.
It's very filling.
Yeah.
So dairy might be a way to supplement, not your main source, but on top of whatever else you're eating. I'm not a fan of processed protein supplements. I just think most of them are low quality. They're hard for many people to digest, and they're just not the same level of, you know, I don't like leaving the food matrix. Yeah,
no, I agree. And I think a lot of the mistakes also is, I'm eating a steak that's 100 grams, so I'm getting 100 grams of protein. And that's not true. You're getting 25 grams.
Maybe,
a fourth.
at the best.
A fourth.
Yeah.
And then as far as powders, I love some collagen peptides we find out there, but a lot of them, as you said, are very poor quality, so you really need to do your homework.
Well, and collagen doesn't have the same amino acid profile as meat, protein, or dairy or eggs.
It's not going to replace it.
So it's a good supplement, but it's not what builds muscle.
Yeah, that's true.
That's more for skin, hair, joints. It's great. It's just not the same. There's so many different amino acids out there.
There are 20 or so, in all of them. Yeah.
So
Cool.
I agree with you, but
he agrees with me. I think that's a cool end to the podcast when
we both agree.
Zane says, "You are right." Can you say it again?
Oh,
say it again.
You sound like my wife right now.
He doesn't want to say it.
You are right. Man.
Thank you.
All right, and if you have not yet been to Biohackers World, guess what? We're coming to Chicago in July and Miami in November. You absolutely want to be there. These events are unlike anything else, and I've never even seen a longevity and health optimization conference in Chicago. So I'm so excited to see all of you in Chicago at Biohackers World.